Hello, how are you doing? Today let's talk Warframe. There is one thing that kind of frustrates me about Warframe. Well, to be frank, there are a lot of things that frustrates me about Warframe, but this specific thing is mostly about how the game can confuse new players just for playing the game as it is. Because let's be honest here. If you start playing the game, do you know what affinity is? Do you know what mastery is? How you can level up things? There is a huge confusion. Once you realize how it works, it becomes very intuitive, but for a new player it really isn't. And considering Warframe is as a game is doing pretty well right now, and it is actually gaining some new players. I even convinced myself, a couple of friends, to give the game a go, but I realized there are some things that they might be confused about. So I thought to myself, I am no expert on Warframe, but I know a thing or two, and I level up dozens of Warframes and weapons, so maybe I could talk about that a little bit and clear up that confusion. This is no some super detailed guide on how to play, rather than to explain this very basic of leveling things in Warframe, how does it work, and how you can utilize this knowledge for faster leveling eventually if there is something you would like to do, which there is always a motivation to level up things in Warframe. So in Warframe we do have levels of various things. First thing that is most important for you is your mastery rank, basically your mastery level. And you are gaining mastery level by doing everything in the game. You can clear missions, you can level up other stuff by affinity, which we will talk about a little bit later. And this is what we call mastery rating, and it is basically increasing your various overall account powers. It can give you various goodies, reputation that you gain with various factions, all sorts of stuff. Let's not dive into this because we are today talking about affinity and affinity only. Now, what is affinity? They might as well just call it leveling up, but they chose a term affinity, and affinity is important. So affinity is basically equivalent of leveling or experience that you gain to your gear. Your gear being your Warframe, meaning character you're playing as, and everything this Warframe has equipped. This works in a very special way. Basically, whenever you are outside in the mission, you're killing things, or you are using your abilities, you are doing objectives, you are getting affinity points. These affinity points works kind of like experience points. It's, let's say, World of Warcraft, but a little bit different in a matter of how they are being distributed. So roughly every time you are using your Warframe, you will get 50% of this affinity to your Warframe directly, and everything else is being evenly distributed to all of the gear you have. Usually your gear contains of one melee weapon, one pistol or secondary weapon, and one rifle or one primary weapon. Now there are some other special gears like your pets, your arch guns, your necramechs. Don't worry about them. They work a little bit differently. I'm not myself so sure how these things works, but let's not go there right now. So these kind of equipment that you have on you are all being counted as affinity things. So the basic is your Warframe and your 3 pieces of gear, which goes 50% to your Warframe and 50% evenly distributed into everything else. But if I say evenly, that is not really the case. There are 2 things how you can gain experience or affinity in Warframe. The first case is you are killing the things yourself. The second case is your friends in what we called affinity range are killing them for you. Now affinity range might vary, some Warframes may affect this, some mods can affect this, etc. If you are in what we called affinity range, meaning you are not outside of the range that you would gain experience points for somebody else killing it, then half of it is going to your Warframe directly and everything else is being distributed between everything else evenly. If you are killing things yourself, then 50% of what you get will get to your frame and 50% will get to whatever got killing blow. Which is a little bit confusing because it also means that whenever you kill enemy monster with your melee weapon, your rifle and your gun will not get any affinity for this. So if you want to level up a gun, you need to kill monsters with this gun specifically, or you can allow your friends to do this for you, which can be later abused. I will touch on this briefly. I'm sure there are a lot of other guys that will tell you how to level up things quickly and will utilize things like doing Cephalon Silmaris kind of research and these kind of things. But let's leave it for now. Every time you gain a level, Your Warframe will increase some stats. I am not exactly sure if your guns are actually increasing damage as they're leveling up, but everything that you level up will get what we call mod slots. Now, mods are important. Mods are the reason why we are actually leveling our guns, why we are leveling our Warframe. This is what gains you your powers. This can be a little bit confusing because whenever you have your first Warframe, you're slowly unlocking your skills, you are getting more health, you think this is the progression. It is not really a progression. The game is concepted in a way that you basically most of the time are playing or are going to play at max level, which is 30 for most pieces of gear, including Warframe. Sometimes you can get up to 40, but this is something that we are not going to be touching today. Again, this is advanced mechanic of the game in special cases. So, your goal is to go to level 30. Your weapons will usually get there faster than your Warframe, because even if your Warframe is getting most of the affinity for itself, the actual cap, the actual amount of affinity that your Warframe needs is the biggest of all of the gear in the game. Warframe needs the most per level. Now, with all of this out of the way, how to approach this or how to level up your things? I already mentioned, if you want to level up your gun, you need to be using that gun, or you need to leave other players to use it for you. And there's this little trick, and that is if you want to level your gun quickly, the best way to do this would actually be being in a party and let your party members actually funnel their affinity that they gain for you into your Warframe, into your weapon. If you approach it in this direction, you can also do a little trick, which is unequipping all of the weapons except the one that you are leveling. And that way, you will get much more experience. You will literally funnel 50% of the experience or of the affinity that you gain into your weapon, and that weapon is going to be leveling super fast. So if you ever need to level up your weapon super fast, just unequip everything else, leave just your Warframe, which obviously what else you would be controlling, and your weapon, and that way you will skyrocket to level 30 in no time. With all that said, what do we gain for leveling weapons if they are not really getting much more powerful just by leveling up? We are getting forma slots or forma space or whatever you would call it, which can be then improved by other things like installing Orokin reactors, etc. Don't worry about it for now. The core of this is that whenever you hit your maximum level of your gear and you're feeling like, yeah, I have all of these mods, but I cannot equip them because I don't have enough mod slots. I don't have enough mod capacity in my gear. This is where something that we call forming is coming to question. Now, forming, the best way to describe it would be if you've ever played the clicker game or any sort of like idle game, and they are these kind of awakenings where you're basically starting over, but you are stronger. This is the same thing. You mod your gear by a crafting item that we called forma. It is called polarization of your equipment. So you will take this forma, which is a material that you can grind in the game. They are not easy to come by, but you will get a couple every now and then you use them to polarize one of the slots. Now, every mod has one of the polarization that is equivalent to one of the schools, which is kind of a lore touch, one of the schools of what your warrior is actually can be part of. Don't worry about it in the beginning of the game, but you polarize it to Naramon, to Vazarian, depending of whatever that is. So whenever you polarize a slot and you put a mod with the same polarization of the same school into that slot, this slot is now costing only half of the points. If you put a slot that is not of that school though, it will double the points, so you need to tacticize a little bit. This way, you can eventually get all the mods that you need for your build into your Warframe or into your weapons, and this is how we are actually growing stronger. Now, in the game, there are like more things also. There are like special mods that work for only certain weapons or certain Warframes, etc. But again, don't worry about it. So to sum this all up, whenever you go outside in the world, the affinity is the experience of this game. Affinity gained is what you get into your Warframe and into your equipped weapons at a time. Every time you kill something with a weapon, the affinity goes 50% to your Warframe, 50% to your weapon, so it is 50-50. If your friends are killing something for you, then 50% is going to your Warframe and the rest is evenly distributed between everything else. Now, special case would be if you are killing something with your Warframe abilities. If that is the case, then 100% is going into your Warframe. So using your abilities is the quickest way to level up your Warframes. But as I said, the Warframes have the biggest affinity cap, so you will need the most affinity to level up your Warframe to level 30. Once you are level 30, you can take the Forma material and decide for yourself which mod is important for you and reduce the capacity of that mod by 50%. And that's it. As you can see, it is not really complicated, but because of the clutter, because of how much there is in the game of various systems, and there is a difference between your master rating, between the levels of your weapons, of your Warframes, and also the fact that they are not calling it experience points, but they are calling it affinity. All of these things can confuse a person. So I hope this little guide will give you at least fundamental understanding, the basics of how leveling in Warframes work. Alright, that's all. Cheers!